Item 3 is the AS state grant, the animal shelter appropriation that we received from the state, the portion for to add on to complete the project. The contracts came in, so we're doing part to increase the budget for that one, as well as for item number 4, the remaining funds that were awarded by the state. So we're doing the bar for the additional funds.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
No, Mr. Mayor, it's very straightforward.
Anything further, Ms. Holguin? Thank you, ma'am. I think we're good. Everybody's in agreement with the items presented. I entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 15, the budget adjustment request as presented.
That's the motion. The second, Ms. Doris.
Honorable Mayor Joe Paul.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopno.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Hessler.
Aye. Carried unanimously. Our second item is under ordinances is discussion action publication of ordinance number 772 GO bond. Mr. Muirhead. Welcome back, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
This is just to authorize publication of this ordinance related to the third installment of the city's general obligation bonds that were approved in November of 2022. You have 4 years to issue all the 3 million approved. This is the third of these issuances. You have one more. This is the amount of $760,000. It is broken out into the 2 questions that were approved by the voters, which is the roads, streets, as well as the city's water and wastewater system. You will take action at your meeting in November, move forward with this. Mr. Valenzuela is here to talk to you a little bit also about just the plan in terms of selling the bonds. Again, this is the general obligation of the city. So this one is the ad valorem property taxes that are currently paying your other 2 of GO bonds. Happy to answer your questions. I'll hand it over to Mark here so he has a few things he wants to tell you.
Mr. Valenzuela, welcome.
Good afternoon. Happy to be here. Thank you. I have a presentation for you. We have hard copy handouts if you'd like us to pass those out. That's okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And this will be brief. I'm not sure if I figured this. Okay, I think we're getting this okay. So this second slide right here, and forgive me, I don't know if I can scroll down here a little bit. So the second slide just kind of lays out the bond program for the voter approved general obligation debt. You can see that on the left-hand side of this table, we're showing you what the revenue that is being produced. And I did mention this at the last meeting, that the tax rate was at 4.5 mils. And I think great for this community, the leadership of City Manager Whitehead to push back on the tax rates that were being proposed by local government division. Local government division was considering increasing the tax rate to 5.2 mils. But City Manager Whitehead pushed back, and we're now going to be at 3.5 mils. So it's going to be a full reduction of 1 mil. And from this slide, you can see that this bond program still remains affordable for the city. So taxpayers are going to get a slight decrease in their taxes. And for the purposes of thinking into the future here, I left the mill levy at 3.5 mils for projecting revenues forward. So they're basically flat revenue. And then showing in the middle column their existing debt, as Mr. Muirhead mentioned, we've sold 2 of the pieces here, 790 each, 790,000 each. So you can see the existing annual payments that are listed in that blue column right there. The green column right next to it are the bonds that we're talking about now. So roughly 790,000, and we'll start moving through that process now. This is the beginning of the process, but we're showing what the debt payments look like. I will say that we could likely shorten the maturity on this to save interest costs. Right now, we're being very conservative with the 5% rate. We think that the rate will be closer to 3.5, maybe lower, like when we finalize this. But again, we won't know that until we go all the way through the process. But and again, I think that we can probably shorten the final payoff on this particular loan, depending on what the world looks like when we start to do that. So you're seeing here that the 790,000 plus interest would be at about 970,000 total cost. Again, that will change as we get closer to finalizing the transaction. And then we're also considering the final issuance, which right now it's going to be roughly about 630,000. It really depends on what we end up doing on this one, and that'll be from the direction of your team here, how much they want to sell on this current one. But we're factoring that in as well. You can see then in the blue column to the right what the total debt is over time. And state law gives you 20 years to pay these off. And we actually think it'll be a little bit shorter than that for the city. This also provides for the city to go back to voters potentially in 2027, the next local election, and ask for an additional $3 million to continue the program. Again, without having to raise property tax from where you currently are. So having said that, the far right there is just the excess revenue. That's sort of the plug number for us to make sure that we're staying within the goals that the community, that we've shared with the community, and what's important for you. Now, back in 2022, we had talked about having a $3 million imposition or tax rate to cover this program. Next year, and I'm certain that City Manager Whitehead's going to hold me to that, and we're going to look at where we're at then, if we can further reduce the tax rate down to 3, what the original program was. So I don't want to commit that we can do it yet. The excess revenue looks strong, but I just want to see what the world looks like next year. So the city might see another slight increase in their tax rate next year. Having said that, and I won't bore you through all these steps that are going to take place, but this is just a preliminary calendar of all the events that are going to start taking place. We've kind of mapped this out. The one negative here in the timing is New Mexico Finance Authority doesn't have a November meeting. So we're pushing back a little bit from what we originally thought we could do here. Their meeting is going to be December 11th, which is the first time that they'll approve this, just so you're aware. Chris and I will work hard. Again, I'm speaking for Chris Muirhead, but we'll work hard to make sure that we're prepared to close after NMFA board approval shortly thereafter, so that we're not holding this out. Right now, we're assuming that the transaction will close on January 9th of 2026. So having said all of that, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have before you take action on it.
When would the final hearing or the final adoption be?
So I'll have to, oh, right there, Chris. Yeah.
So I had it, thanks, Jay. I had it, they would do the ordinance at the meeting in October, but we could certainly do it in November as well. And then in that ordinance, it would delegate authority to the mayor and city manager to accept the pricing terms from the finance authority. We'd come back to the commission and show you all what the pricing is, but it wouldn't be a separate ordinance doing that. One ordinance, and we can do it next month, or we could even do it the 1st of November, whatever your preference is. As Mark was saying, we have some time. So,
Well, if we publish this, it says publication is on September 26th. We put a date in there as to when the final hearing would be then.
It would be October 22nd.
It would be, that's what
Yeah,
it's
we
the second
can-
meeting in October.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can make it.
I'm just, it didn't have it on the calendar, that's the reason I'm asking.
yeah, second meeting in October.
Okay.
And Mayor, members of the council, let me give you the reason there's no urgency. This particular bond, the 440,000 is already pledged. So technically we've obligated the money before we have it, which will go to our shovel ready water, which is out to bid right now. So timing wise, there's no urgency that we get the funds. We'll meet the 5% IRS obligation by the funds already being obligated. So however the calendar works, we'll be just fine.
Okay.
On that particular issue.
Thank you. Commissioners, anybody? have
Thank
any
you.
questions?
By the way, I raised my questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
There, I have a few more presentations on it if I can, just to.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I always want to just keep you guys in the loop, kind of where we are with these. First of all, I do also want to thank the team for helping with the bond rate. What I want to remind you all is the city did have to pay the first payment because the bond, the rate was not established. Okay, and so we had to pay that. That's the leverage we were able to use really on reducing the rate. We could have paid ourselves back at a faster rate, keeping the rate high. And what I basically agree with DFA is we'll take a payment. We know we have a couple $100,000 that we could take from the taxes back to us. Wasn't critical within the budget. Let's get the tax rate down. So over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, as our team decides we have enough revenue in reserve, the city would be able to pay itself back for that very first payment. So we kind of think it's just a savings account. Okay. As I said, I wanted to point out that 440 of this bond will be used against the match. So this bond is really already allocated and spent. We'll begin to find and identify the bonds for the road side of this ledger. Okay. When I came on board, the commission had divided the issuance up in 3 pieces: water, wastewater, and streets. The ordinance allows for water and wastewater to be 1 piece. Okay, and so in this particular case, we'd be using almost all the bond for a particular water project. Bond 4, we have kind of earmarked to be using more for wastewater as well. Okay, so we are doing both projects at the same time. The last piece I do want to draw your attention to, if we could scroll back to the page there, and I'm going to get this not quite perfect, so I hope the team doesn't get too mad at me here. But if you go to the excessive revenue on the very far right, if you look at the bottom, it shows that at the end of 24 years, we would have $7 million in the bank, right? And I brought this question up to say, well, wait, we'd be taking money from the taxpayers and have $7 million. That's not the case here, right? If the voters don't allow us to extend this bond for another issuance and it ends, you would see that it would pay off at some point sooner than the 24 years, right? It would pay $7 million over that course of time. And so that's when we talk about with those that $3 million be paid off sooner. You can do your own calculation and see at what point in time would we have generated enough revenue from the taxes to pay off the bond that we were allowed to use, pay the interest and pay those costs, right? But again, we hope we have a presentation to bring you in a minute on where we think we'd like to ask to continue this with the taxpayers. And that's why we think we needed to get to the 3.5 rate to show fiscal responsibility. And then finally, we're just finishing up all those items that we're using for the bond so that we can get full transparency. I presented those to you in the budget, but Carrie, our PIO, and I are working on, getting that prepared so the taxpayers can see every penny where we put it and where we're getting to start to use that. So with that, I would stand for any questions on just the use of the bonds and where we're at, and then thank the team for the work there.
Thank you. Questions? Mark and Chris, thank you for your presentation. As always, it's very thorough, even where I can understand it. I appreciate your efforts. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I think we have to go to new business before we have the motions. Is that correct?
Discussion.
There was a discussion, actual publication of the ordinance.
Yeah.
I apologize. That's correct.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve publication of ordinance number 772 as presented.
Second, okay, Doris.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Heffler. Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Mary Jo Paul.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. All right, let's move to item E, new business. Item 1, discussion action engagement agreement for municipal advisory services between the City of Truth or Consequences and Bosque Advisors LLC. Mark Valenzuela, Bosque Advisors, the city manager, Whitehead.
Mayor, members of the commission, both of these, I'll let Mark and Chris speak to them, but they're both housekeeping issues that are connected to the issuance and the sale of the bond. These proceeds are eligible as an eligible expense out of the bond proceeds. So I'll let them.
Sure. Thank you, City Manager. Yes, yes, sir, Mayor and Commissioners. This is our engagement. We always bring it back to you every year so that you can let us know if we're handling the city's business appropriately and with transparency. So we want to give you that option to let us know how we can improve with this approval. Nothing in this agreement has changed from the prior years. The fee schedule hasn't changed. It's just the date extending it for an additional year. So that's the scenario with Bosque Advisors. I will say our fee is only paid on completion of a transaction. And we support the city on all the other ancillary tasks that are associated with bonds. And we don't charge the city for that service. So just wanted to let you, but we're grateful for the opportunity for the partnership. It's been, from our perspective, fantastic. Yes.
I can confirm the fact this is the same agreement because I wanted to get the old agreement compared to what's in the packet, and you're right, it's word except for the change of the date, so.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
I think that since we're paying Mark a lot of money, he needs to talk a lot longer than. Came down here, dressed up, and then Chris, it'll be you. And then we'll do the same thing.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, is there any further discussion? Any questions?
Mark does a fair job. Yes, he can.
I think so.
Make a motion to approve the engagement agreement as presented for municipal advisory service.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I second. Ms. Torres?
Honorable Mary Jo Paul,
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner,
Aye.
Honorable Rolf Hessler,
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell. Aye. I had Amanda's name on there, so I was like.
Carries.
He would have signed.
Item E3, but before we move on to that item, we have a quick setup.
No, item E2 still.
Yeah.
Mayor.
Oh, E2, I'm sorry, I just checked it out. So, for item E2, discussion action, Mobile Sterling proposal letter for bond council services, 2025 general obligation bonds. Mr. Muirhead.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner. Really would repeat what Mark had said, which is this is consistent with what we've done in the prior two issuances. Well, it's a standard engagement letter with the firm for this bond issuance. We would only be paid if the transaction closed, and it is the same fee as last year. So there's no increase there. And so again, I particularly want to repeat what Mark said. I love coming down here and I love working with you guys. So I appreciate the opportunity. And again, Commissioner, honestly, if you paid me by the word, you would regret that. You'd miss dinner. Let me just tell you that.
Any discussion? No discussion on anything.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Madrell's Fairlane proposal letter for bond council services bond.
It's okay. It's okay. Second that.
Honorable Rolf Hessler, Honorable Ingo Hopner, Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Mary Jo Paul.
E3, and we'll have to do a quick set.
For that.
We good? All set up? All right, we're going to move on to approving spay and neuter grant from the Metro Veterinary Board. Tara, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. So we applied for this grant a few years ago, but there were some hiccups. So the hiccups have now all been fixed and adjusted, so that's a positive. So we did all the legwork, all the paperwork, the reports, and we got approved for a $40,000 grant that we will get all the animals fixed. Currently, we do have an agreement with SCARS underhand to get all the cats in that come into the shelter fixed as well as one dog a month. I did bring it up to the director of SCARS as far as this grant goes. She already has it budgeted on her end to continue paying for cats. So we are going to just pay for the dogs with this grant. There's still going to be money left over. So I did some digging, I did some research, and it gives us the ability to open this up to the public as well with the approval. So we can allow people to come in, get their information, let the vet know, and we can start getting the community animals fixed before they come into the shelter to prevent unwanted puppies and kittens from trying to find homes or being dumped on the side of the road and coming into the shelter in the long run. With this grant, it also not only covers the spay and neuter, it does cover their rabies shots, so everyone can be current as well as the core vaccines, which is the parvo distemper vaccine for dogs and puppies, as well as the feline leukemia vaccine for the cats. So I thought, unless you have any questions.
Okay, we have any questions, commissioners?
I just one really small detail on the reporting. So there's two reports that are due during the 12-month period.
Yep, one at 6 months and one at 12.
Yeah, and what's interesting though, on paragraph 4, it says the final report is due at the end of the 12-month period, but actually on paragraph 5, you actually have 30 days beyond the 12-month period.
Correct, which is because they do understand when we get the information from the vet, our vet bills us at the end of the month. So whatever surgeries we do, let's say in the month of October, I get as of November 1st.
Okay.
So that way it will give me some additional time to get all that reporting in the meanwhile and make sure that everything is crossed off and dotted correctly for that.
Fair enough.
Questions? I have
John,
a couple questions if you don't.
no,
Okay, so the $40,000 grant, by the way, congratulations. That's a huge amount of money. It's a lot bigger than I thought we'd ever get. So
Me too.
great job.
Last year it was 35,000, so super.
So people that use this grant, do they pay full price because it's a grant, or do we still get the discounted price?
So with us doing, so let's say it's a shelter animal, we get a discounted rate from the vet as it is. We get a rescue rate. As far as citizens go, because we're the ones paying the bill, we're the ones that are still gonna get that discounted rate. So we do have the discounted pricing that the vet will still honor for us. There are qualifications and guidelines that we do have to follow, like Pat currently does, for example, as far as that poverty line. So I have to make sure I have all that documentation as well. And what we would do is get all the owner's information, the animal's information, and email it to the vet so they can make the appointment around their schedule when it comes to that. We wouldn't be able to ask for money in return for it as like a copay, as they put in here. But we have thought of ideas in order to continue helping and benefiting the shelter, is possibly asking for donations in the future. You get your animal fixed, donate a can of cat food or a bag of cat food. So that way we can still function and have all this ability and everything, and it's still saving the public a lot of money.
Great, that makes that $40,000 we can go further, doesn't it?
Exactly, a lot further.
And the second question I have is, if we extend this to the public, are you going to have a kind of a schedule that you're going to allocate this money so we don't run out too quick, or are you going to just come use it as people want it?
My goal right now, it's still in the works as far as all the little details. I would rather try to spend it all as fast as possible potentially. So that way I don't have to worry about like the end of the 12 months being like, oh no, I still have $10,000 left to spend and then panicking. I think it's going to be one of those things that is going to go as far as possible, but at the same time, it's a lot of money. For example, to give you an idea on pricing, let's say the average dog weighs between 26 and 50 pounds, like most do. Females obviously cost more. $75 is what we're paying to get them fixed. So that's a lot of space that we could be doing. So I have a feeling we're gonna have to just do it as much as possible.
Are you going to take first come, first serve? Are you going to advertise, or how are we going to get the word out? Or are you going to get the word out? You have enough customers anyway, I imagine. But
More than likely, I will probably have enough customers, but I do want to spread the word so that way the people who don't have Facebook, you know, that aren't always coming into the shelter by word of mouth, we can kind of spread the word that way. So I definitely want to do it that way. First come, first serve as far as that goes. And then it's all up to the vet's availability too. So, I mean, if we get the money, let's say we can start using it in November, he's going to fill up really fast between his vacations and his days that he's working and can do surgeries and all that. So that's the other reason I think it's going to be able to spread out the full 12 months.
I think it's interesting to note that some of the people in our community that are most difficult to contact are among the poorest. And somehow we need to get that word out either through a utility letter or something so that we can get these folks in here and take care of those animals.
That's my goal. Once this funding is all set and ready to go, is to touch base with our public information officer so she can start putting it into the utilities and maybe put it in the newspaper when they have to do their print that way.
I knew you'd be on it.
My goal is, yeah.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Does this partner with Desert Haven too? I mean, can they do this program with their animals as well?
So not with us. Most of the animals that they have, other than their puppies, should already be fixed, especially if they come from us.
Okay.
But I believe they probably applied for their own because this was open to government agencies and nonprofit rescues. So and every time there was a meeting about it, Desert Haven was always in it. So I have a feeling they were aware of the grant.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions?
Your question pointed a
Yeah.
thought on my end. Your partnership with a vet, are they gonna help promote it? Or if they have people just randomly call them and they want to bring their pets in, are they gonna refer it to this program rather than doing it themselves?
That's my goal, is to let the vet, so I've already talked to their manager over there, not the vet himself. Let him know that this is a possibility, it's gonna happen. So I'm gonna start making flyers like, hey, you have a pup, dog, cat, whatever it is, needs to be fixed. You can't afford it, contact the shelter. Let them help you in that aspect. So yeah, my goal is to make flyers so that they can hand them out to those people as well.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Mayor, I would comment, because I wrote a note on that, and I think we've not discussed the nuts and bolts of it, and we'll all sit down and go, we do that a lot as teams in our structure lately. But I think we want to make sure that we take care of the vet as well in this, right? We don't want to create a situation where he's providing us a discount and not seeing the bit. So it needs to be fair on both sides, because we need that service. It's valuable to our community, and we certainly don't want to be adversaries. So we want to find with the level that we've spoke up here that's on the table, we need to make sure it's well received from both, where the vet feels like he could say, hey, let us help you with that. We can get some cost and
Right.
bring that in. So I think that's a good point, and we'll make sure that we take that seriously with that staff up there, right?
Great.
We need to respect that relationship.
Right.
I think we do. It's not even in question, but I think I know this team will take it serious. So.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehead. All right. One more time. Any other questions? Having no entertain a motion.
Because I couldn't say Chris's name right. So,
I would like to make a motion to approve the spay and neuter grant from the New Mexico Veterinary Board as presented.
Motion is second.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Mary Jo Paul.
Aye.
Honorable Inga Hopper.
Aye.
Honorable Rob Pastor.
All right. Here's unanimous. Nice job, Karen. Move on to item E4, discussion action, capital outlay processes and project selection. Assistant City Manager Alvarez and City Manager White.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I'll start real quick. Within your packet, you guys have the ICIP list and the resolution. You guys reviewed and ranked projects in June 11th, and then accepted the resolution with the ranking of all those projects at your June 24th meeting. We're now getting ready already to prep for the capital outlay process. We'll be doing a presentation, actually the mayor and city manager will be doing a presentation legislative forum at the end of October. And so this year is where we're going to discuss those projects that you ranked in the top 5 in the capital outlay. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the city manager.
Again, Mayor, members of the commission, if you remember, we did do the ICIP. We tried to narrow it down. We cleaned it up a little bit. And then in that effort, we identified that the state over the last few years has requested that we only present our top 5 items. So we kind of focused and narrowed in on that. If you take a look back at the ICIP that we provided you, the 5 projects that we picked were continued upgrades to our wastewater treatment plant, Lee Bell Johnson facility, Marie Street improvements, the substation, and then a community multi-purpose center. So the question 1 would be, does the commission feel like that still represents our current needs, where we feel like we are? If there's any ideas or changes. Again, we can pull anything up from the ICIP if we felt like something on there is more relevant, because it is on the list, so we could at this point change it. So I would at this point just make sure the commission feels like these are the right 5 projects.
Sure. If you'll refer to page 143, your agenda packet, there list the 5 projects. If any of the commissioners wish to change the order or add anything else to the top 5 and bump one off, I'd like to hear about it now, if you may.
No, I think these are very valid to be on our top five. And as you said, if they're on the list, that's really what also can get other things done if the right opportunity comes up. So I don't think any of us have changed our mind. Have they, Eva? That's it. That's almost.
For me, Manager Whitehead, I'd like to put special emphasis on the LaBelle Johnson facility improvements this year. We are already working on a PER for wastewater, getting that done, and it's not going to be premature to ask for wastewater improvements before then, but that PER is going to give us a lot of information that we're going to want to prioritize, I think. So I think it's still important. It should be in the top five, but I would like to give some importance to the LaBelle Johnson facility improvements. It's been down now for about 3 years, a little over 3 years. I think our community is clamoring for a facility of that nature downtown. I'd like to see it get stabilized and a mechanism for improving that facility so that we can put it back to work for the community.
Thanks for that, Walt.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
all agree with
I
that.
second that.
Me too. I formed it.
Mayor, members of the commission, if that's the intent, then the 5 projects are, the way we would like to approach these 5 projects is as follows. So we are still waiting. We did receive a $1 million capital outlay grant from the governor last year for our wastewater treatment plant. We got this, the city unfortunately got mixed up at DFA with another community, and they assumed that our audit was not filed timely, which it was. And so a lot of our contracts were held up. We've since solved that problem. Things are flowing in. We've got that resolved, but we've not seen the contract on this last particular grant. So our goal here would be to go ahead and ask. We'd asked for $4 million last year, so we would want to ask the governor again this year for $1 million to add to the $3 million ask, and stay consistent with that and stay with the governor for that particular program. The governor seems to be willing to fund water and wastewater type programs. So we think that's the right thing, and it would be a continuation. We think for the legislator, we also picked LaBelle as our primary goal. And what we've done, I've done a little work preparing for how we could fix the foundation in the building. That seems to be the reason that the building has been shuttered. So I did enlisted a contractor to come in and take a look at the building. We have the geotech report. We have a plan from Wilson that shows that the interior of the building is not in bad repair. It needs a little care and maintenance, but it's not our problem. So what we'd like to ask in this request would be that we make LaBelle our #1 legislative request at $500,000, and that be focused for design, build, and construct the foundation for LaBelle only. So we could try to get that, we get focused in. We think that there's a way to go in and shore up the building, create some way to move water out from the building. I would tell you that we've been in there 5 or 6 times this year, and there's not any water present this year, right? So it's, it seems like it's just different. So that would be our #1 ask, and we would really want to focus on that. The #2 legislative ask would be the Marie Street design build. We would ask for design, planning, and construct. We always ask for all 3, but we would like to ask for $500,000 so that we could do the engineering for Marie Street. We think Marie Street is not only a surface issue, we'd like to put sidewalks. We have the dam we'd like to make sure that we're taking care of, and we need to do water and sewer in that at the whole, all one time. So that's what we'd like to ask. And our third ask would be that we propose asking again for $500,000 to do a design planning for a community multi-purpose center. Commissioner, this will be the first time you'll hear us say that we think we would like to use the general obligation bond the next time it's available to present to the voters, to give us an opportunity to build out a new multi-purpose center. We know the hospital is interested in doing something if there's a partnership, but if we could get to this grant, that's why it would be #3. If we could get it designed and then potentially be able to go to the voters to continue the current tax. Now, certainly each of you have an idea where you think the GEO bond might go if we ask for it for continuation, but this is where we would like to have it planted. And we think it would be about a $3 million investment. And then #4, our fifth ask would be that we put a $500,000 request into the governor to help us plan, design the new substation for the electrical facility. Now, we are doing well at utilities. We think we have cash. It's going to be really hard. There's not a lot of of opportunities for the electric plant to get grants. It's not a common thing, but we think if we approach it from a let it help us design it, build it, make sure that we know where we want to put it. We believe that substation would go on the north side of town, somewhere around the golf course. That's the location of the tri-state line. It makes it really easy to access, puts it in the right part of town for growth. So those would be the 5 requests that we would ask you to concur, and then we would begin to prepare our presentations with our lobbyists. Civility, and then also for the Council of Governments, and then be ready to work forward. So again, to recap, it would be 2 requests to the governor, $1 million for wastewater, 500,000 for our substation, and then from our area legislators, a focus on Lee Bell for 500,000 for construction of the foundation, Marie Street planning, and then community multipurpose center planning. And with that, we would stand for questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, that was very concise and complete. Do we have any questions or concerns? Any other items on the ICIP that you'd like to see moved up?
Great plan by the leadership to how you want to lay that out for the coming years.
That's good. Right. Well, you guys did the work earlier this year, the hard work. That's how we got the top 5 out here. So, all right.
And Mayor, then just one last comment before, if you were prepared to make a motion. We also want to really support SJOA. They have their own independent ICIP. I've met with Crystal. I have a list of items that she and I are going to meet and discuss additionally, but we would say that when we go forward and use our lobbyist or we present it to Council of Governments, I would hope that the commission would give us full authority to stand side by side with SJOA and continue to improve our facility here for the seniors. They have some needs. So again, that's our ICIP, and then we also want to be their partner as clearly as we can.
Well, I like those numbers and I like that idea and I like this schedule. With that, I have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the capital outlay process and selection as outlined.
Second.
In a second, Doris.
Honorable Ralph Hessler.
Aye.
Honorable Dustin Mitchell. Aye. Honorable Mary Jo Paul.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Good job, folks. Motion carries unanimously. Item E2. E5, the second one on the page. Discussion, action, trails, and grant MOU between the city of Truth and Consequences of Sierra County. Commissioner Hester, you're up.
Good afternoon, Mayor,
Get to leave. We just said.
Commissioner.
And
No. we're not gonna do
Hey, okay.
I heard that and I started.
She doesn't want you.
I started to get tight in the chest.
Thank you, Chris.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. What you have in front of you is a pretty standard basic MOU. We are currently finalizing, working on our grant application for the FY26 Trails Plus grant. We will be applying for a river walk trail that will run along the Rio Grande over at Ralph Edwards Park. And then we're also applying for a feasibility study for a permanent dam structure that will also act as a surf wave, likely located at Rotary Park. So that's what we're applying for. In the application, when the review committee reviews that at the state level for the Trails Plus grant, it is favorable when more than one entity is working together on a project. So we put together a very basic standard MOU. The city will still act as the fiscal agent. We'll still do the reporting. We'll still our responsibility for it won't change. What we will ask the county for is to promote the completed projects through social media channels, be present at any ribbon cutting ceremonies, any opening or celebratory events, be available for technical assistance as needed, designate a point of contact, and reach out to any county groups or organizations to help promote, the events and our milestones on the project. So I have sent this off to Ms. Vaughn, County Manager. She's aware of this. We have a letter of support. This will be on the next County Commission meeting, which I believe is October 21st. Yeah, just ask that we move forward and maybe get a support from the commission for this MOU. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Just a a suggestion, OJ, that I think we should include the village also, because I think as a group, they're gonna benefit from the people that come and they support all that we're doing along the river. It'll just strengthen the proposal.
Correct. It's a good idea. We've got the letter of support from Deb, from Mayor Stubblefield, so we do have that. That will help as well, so.
Right. So
Yes, ma'am.
I think that'll be a great thing. And if we could get that river so way, wow. That- Pretty dang cool.
Feasibility study, Commissioner, I have no idea how this is, honestly, how this is gonna go. That's feasibility study will tell us. It'll let us
It'll
know.
be an interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
concerned about the system and if it would disrupt the fish or something, you know?
No, they build them so that they.
Fish can go off the side.
They actually, they've got a spot for fish. 'Cause what we're doing right now is we're blocking off the river, but fish can't get up and downstream. This will allow fish to go up and downstream, so it'll actually be environmentally friendly and the ecosystem as well, so.
I'm excited if we could get a river walk along, at Ralph Edwards, because that just adds more enhancements for our community. It's gonna be a great thing, so it's.
You know, the Riverwalk Trail, we're looking at some electrical upgrades over there. We're looking at putting some irrigation in for some trees that will provide shade as there as well. So it's more than just the trail, right? And then obviously we're gonna put signage out, and we want to match the signage on that trail. We want to match what the Turtleback Trails Network is putting out as well. So QR code, all of that. So, you know, and just kind of tell what species are out there, what plants are out there, things of that nature. So,
That'd be awesome.
yes, ma'am.
A year ago, this wasn't even on our radar. What's the genesis of this? How does it materialize?
You know, we got nudged. As you know, Carl Colonius, he's the outdoor rec planner for the state. He was here for the Rio Grande Trails Commission meeting, and we took, you know, all the members of the commission over to Rotary Park. We showed them the Turtleback Trails. As you know, we designated a section of County Road 805 as, you know, a segment of the Rio Grande Trail. Well, when he saw that, you know, he has a couple of issues, environmental issues as well. For putting a bulldozer into the river. That's one of them. And then, you know, when we went to this river cutting, he thought this would be a great opportunity when we went to the ribbon cutting ceremony in Farmington of, you know, let's do a feasibility study. We went and visited Farmington. We met with their community development representative. I don't recall his name right now, but they started off with the feasibility study. And that's how they got their project funded and everything else. So, yeah.
Is Farmington the only other city that has one in New Mexico?
That I'm aware of.
Okay, but in Colorado, I'm hearing.
I've heard Colorado's got a couple of.
So it's a tried and true thing that it works in communities. I'm curious to see how it'll work in our community since the river only flows
Correct.
a portion of time, depending on how much water we get, right?
Correct. So obviously the river surf wave would only be active certain time of the year during irrigation season, right? So.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Cool.
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I've had a motion to approve surveillance and grant MOU between the City of Tucson Consequences and Seaboard County. %.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, Ms. Norris.
Honorable Mayor Joe Paul,
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner,
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Ashford,
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Lynch.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. E6, discussion action, third amendment to the Sierra Vista Hospital Joint Powers Agreement. City Attorney Rubin.
Yes, good afternoon. Just by way of background, and as you're all aware, the city has a joint powers agreement with the County of Sierra, the City of TRC, the Village of Williamsburg, and the City of Bellevue. And the purpose of the JPA is for the acquisition, ownership, maintenance, and operation of the hospital. Under the current JPA, we have 9 board members, and there's an ownership designation on page 10, which called for ownership in the following percentages: the County of Sierra 40%, the City of TRC 40%, Village of Williamsburg 5%, and Bellevue 15%. So that's what the JPA reads. Now, what's being proposed is a third amendment to that agreement. And I'll just walk you through the important points. And actually, the most important thing to keep in mind is Section 1 contemplates the withdrawal of the City of Bellevue Butte from the JPA. That's, you know, the main cog. Effective as of the withdrawal date, the JPC, we propose the JPC, the governing board, would be reduced to 5 board members. And section 2 is very important because during the negotiations, what was agreed upon, or subject to the governing bodies, their discretion, is that the city of Elk Butte, as per section 2, would still be responsible for its ongoing obligations under the JPA. And that would include, the incurrence of obligation of money even arise up and through August 28. So you could have, like, for example, you could have a tort claim that might arise now that actually was incurred prior to August 20, so that would be covered. And then with Elk Butte withdrawing, that would change our percentages, where the city and the county would be going from 40% to 47.06%. Village of Williamsburg would be increased to 5.88%. This agreement has, actually is going through a few months worth of revisions. I am told that the city of Elk Butte has approved this already, and I have a signed copy to the county. I understand the Village of Williamsburg is on their next agenda, is what I'm told. So it's before you for your consideration.
Thank you for the explanation. Do we have any questions, concerns? Mr. Rubin, I didn't see a mechanism. So the city of Elk Butte is in the process of, they're having elections just like we are. And I'm sure that there'll be some changes. Is there a mechanism or a way for them to come back into the agreement if they want to down the road?
Well, once they're withdrawn, then they're officially out. But of course, you can always have subsequent negotiations, subsequent agreement between the parties where that can be discussed.
Right.
But this agreement does not call for that. No.
No. That's really my only question, since I was involved in this thing. Yes, sir. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, should we then in that case here put a sentence in? That is when they have a change of leadership and the new commission pretty much says, oh yeah, we were not in agreement with opting out.
But I think, Ingo, that anybody could do that. Any of the parties could say, oh, well, they get all new county commissioners, or we don't want to do that, even though they're the owners. I mean, I think all of us could at any point say, well, we don't want to do it anymore, right, Jay?
Right. And that's kind of the same answer I just gave. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the way I worded it better.
Okay.
No.
I think I've had this discussion with some of the board members in the past, and I think what would happen is that it'd have to be a unanimous consideration of all 3 entities to allow the city of Elk Butte to come back.
That'd be true.
So, and if they inquired about it, then we would meet about it and make that decision then. So I think it's fine not to be in this particular document. There is a mechanism for them to come back if they want down the road. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come.
You can always have a subsequent agreement to a present agreement. Sure.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, members of the commission,
Yes, sir.
I would ask, can we discuss this? Again, you guys have been more involved in it than I have, but in our original, the residents of Elephant Butte have had sufficient time to bring political pressure amongst those commissioners if they wanted them not to get out of this agreement.
Right.
I think that you need to consider that. And I think you certainly wouldn't want a mechanism that would say, just because a new officer took effect in the county, that we don't want to play now we do want to play. Running the hospital is serious. It's important. It's an important thing that we do. Elephant Butte made a decision that was best for them. And I think you should just, if they want back in a future date, it should be a conversation amongst peers and those commissioners at work. And it should have a good process, not just again, you can just ask and we'll let you back in.
Yeah,
Very true.
you got it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Having none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 3rd amendment to the hospital courthouse agreement as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion second, Ms. Norris.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Mary Jo Falk.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Clark.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Right. That's our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to move to item F, executive session, which is item 1, threatened and pending litigation, Rachel Higgins versus the city's future consequences, pursuant to 10-15-1H7. Can I have that motion, please?
I'll make a motion to, move into executive session at 4:55 PM to discuss threatened and pending litigation pursuant to 10-15-1.
Motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion second, Ms. Norris.
Honorable Ingo Hauptner,
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell,
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Keshler,
Aye.
Honorable Mary Jo Paul.
This session is closed and we will start executive session in 5 minutes.
He has a phone.
Yeah, they're on there.
I guess